Hello, this is me, Anil Javed Hashmi. Welcome to Ayaz Hope Center. Here we have Mr. Waqas Shabir with us. He is a therapist based in Islamabad and provides counseling and psychotherapy services both face-to-face and online. Waqas, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Noor. Great to be here.
Well, I'm very glad that you are here. So today we're gonna talk about therapy.
Sure, that's my thing.
Okay, Waqas, in this time and age, everybody knows about therapy. But still there are so many misconceptions about therapy. So what you say about it? Why is it so?
I think it's popular culture, the way we see it in TV shows and movies. People think that therapy is something which is 3 times a week and it's going to last forever and ever. They think that the psychotherapist is going to solve all their problems in a couple of sessions, or their problems are never going to solve ever and forever.
Okay, Waqas, is therapy a replacement talking with your friends, your family, or your close ones?
I think when you consider yourself, your problems, you come up with a vocabulary, those words, you surround them with yourself, and you need somebody to talk to. That can't be your friend, can't be the one in your circle. It's a very private thing. You want to talk to a professional. There are people who give that dedicated time to you, who come to you, who kind of provide that informational care, that professionalism which you needed.
Yeah.
There is confidentiality, there is secrecy which they are bound to obey, bound to abide by. And those are professional people. You cannot relate them to your circle, your friends and family. Even being an open book, there are a few things, there are a few dark secrets within yourself that cannot be shared with anyone in your family or friends. You need someone professional who could guide you, assist you, accept you the way you are, because a psychotherapist would provide you acceptance. They would accept you, who you are, what you do, and how you look. That's their job. They are trained to do so. So I think.
And they also have so many cases, and they are not going to probe everything.
Exactly, they are experienced.
Yeah.
They are going to listen to your problem very patiently and then come up with a solution. In fact, it's not like that. Friends will mostly they'll just get themselves over it, because they have their own life, their own problems. So you need someone professional to address those issues. Okay?
So you mean that sharing with someone is something else and replacing with therapy is something else?
Yeah, you're always welcome to talk with your friends and all that. Both the things can go hand in hand. Just take psychotherapy and talk to your friends. They both are different, pretty much different things.
Okay, Waqas, the way how therapy is being pictured in the pop culture. So do you think it's the same?
No, it's very too different. The way it is being pictured in pop culture, in the movies, you have this image of an office which is generally lit. There are so many plants, there is a couch, and you'll be getting there, lie on the couch without any reason, just look at the ceiling and talk about your father, how much you dislike him, without any reason. So that's kind of an image that is being portrayed in movies and TV shows, which is highly unrealistic. Psychotherapy does not mean one white guy with a leather chair, a sofa that will be used by you, and an okay. It's more than that. Psychotherapists are practicing very different things and techniques. They provide homework, exercises, and all those techniques are being utilized to make sure that you're progressing, you are getting out of that problem that you came up with. Okay? So one thing that I mostly do with my clients is that I take them on a walk in the Central Park.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, we talk there, we enjoy there, and we do the important work, which is psychotherapy. I listen to their problems, and then we discuss about the solutions, because I am the one who is facilitating them in the most comfortable possible way. So it shouldn't necessarily have to be a psychotherapist's office. I have visited so many psychotherapists because they are my colleagues and all. They never had a couch. They hardly have any writing pad with them. They just start with, how was your weekend? What did I do? What did you do? The conversation goes from that, and then they do important work, which is coming in the solution.
You mean that ice breaking and rapport building should be very simple?
No, not in that sense. First session is really hard because it's a lot of paperwork, and you're being asked to speak and tell your story. So the therapist's role is pretty much passive in the first session because he is gathering all the bits and pieces and coming up with his strategies and all. So in the first session he's observing and all. But when you get along with that therapist, you become comfortable. There is a comfort zone. You're compatible with that. Then things get out of the office. You are more casual and more safe and comfortable in a select environment.
Okay, and what would you say about those producers and writers who portray such type of things?
I think they should do a lot of research. Yeah, things have changed. It's not 1960s anymore.
Okay, fine. Vikas, so let's talk about how to find a therapist and what are some things to consider when you are looking for a therapist.
Okay, that's a very important question because first of all, you need to find that connection. You're being connected with the therapist. Okay, so for that you have to embrace that what you call it, shopping mentality. You have to pick and choose many options. You have to experience different psychotherapists and come up with the one that is compatible the most with you. Okay. So when we go to a doctor, we never ask about their educational background. We never say it's a dentist. We never ask where did you get your dentistry degree and all that stuff, because we know he's a doctor. He knows what he's doing. So when you have broken teeth, you will just visit a dentist and you'll ask him to fix it, and that's it. But in this case, when you're selecting a therapist, you have to research, you have to come up with multiple options and then choose the best suitable one. Okay? Seeing consumer reports, whenever I am buying something, there is always a consumer report, how one product is doing well in the market and the other is not. So they have all those statistics. But in the case of a therapist, there is no such thing.
So how can you define?
You have to do your homework. You have to research about the therapist. Okay? There are so many ways which I'll be talking later in the video.
So what do you think about online reviews about therapists? Is really worth it or not?
I'd say just ignore them. When you're a therapist and you get a lot of many negative reviews, you never know who is writing them. Okay? So suppose the client had an encounter with the therapist in which the therapist confronted the client. The confrontation was needed. It could be the part of the session. This is what the client needed to get better. But he took it negatively, and whenever he got the opportunity to go online, he just left that negative review there. Afterwards, he could process that maybe I was wrong, I did not write the truth. Okay?
But it could be.
Yeah, it could be. So, leaving the review is pretty simple than going back and removing it. Okay? So, you can never trust a review, a negative review, because there could be so many scenarios. What sort of circumstances he was into. He had that moment when he realized that, oh yeah, I have to leave a negative review because the therapist was not good with me. So many clients complain that the therapist talks so much And there was a one-on-one session, a dialogue, which I did not need. I just wanted to let out my feelings.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's also a negative approach because the therapist is being paid to probe you,
Yeah.
to engage you. Okay, so there is an approach when the client becomes active and the therapist listens actively. But that's for another therapy. You needed that dialogue. That's why the therapist suggested or chose that approach. Okay, so there was nothing wrong with that. But since it were you who felt that way and you left a negative review.
Okay, and there is another thing that people can purchase a review.
Okay, it is.
People also purchase a review, and
Exactly.
this is a really, we can say that this is a service. This is a specific service.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
This malpractice is being observed. It is being practiced in our
Yeah.
society. Yeah, to let down someone else, to have your ratings higher. There is this a report about Rome. Rome is pretty famous for its food.
Yeah.
There are so many big restaurants and all that.
Mhm.
Back in 2019, there was a report in Yelp which ranked those restaurants on the basis of reviews. And guess what? Which restaurant was ranked highest?
Which was
It was McDonald's. Why? Because it was near the port, and whoever visited Rome, they just had their food there and
Okay.
distributed. McDonald's everywhere. I am pretty sure that there are so many cafes and restaurants. McDonald's is not number one restaurant in Rome. That's pretty sure.
Okay.
So this can relate to the psychotherapy selection. You can never always trust. Of course, it's one element that makes a therapist accountable, and just one down the list. You cannot make your decision on those reviews.
Okay, kindly clarify it again. That if not this way, then what are the ways we can choose for searching a best therapist?
Okay, so there are so many red flags, meaning so many things to look for. One of them is when you make that first consult call, make sure that the therapist responds to you within 24 to 48 hours. Okay? If he's taking longer than that, that means he's not interested, he's not paying attention to you, which is bad for your psychological health because when you need the therapist, he's not there. So after other sessions, I'm not sure that he'll be cooperative. And I think the therapist needs to follow that business approach. That engagement should be on top of their list. They must be there when you approach them. Okay? So one of them is that. Then comes their social profile. Just go through their social profile. Look at their picture. How does it look? How the therapist looks. He seems to be happy. I have so many social profiles that in which I have seen therapists' pictures as if they're being cropped from a family photo, or these are just selfies, or the therapist altogether is not happy, which is pretty negative for you.
You mean, does this really matter?
It does matter. How the therapist
Oh my god. And we never bothered.
Exactly. How the therapist carries himself, how he reflects himself in the social life, so the web, the technology. Okay. So these things do matter a lot. Keep them in mind. One other approach is that you're looking someone seasonal who has worked 30 years or 40 years. Okay. So when you select someone of that level, make sure that he has done 30 to 40 years of work. Maybe down the road he forgot so many concepts. He's not current. He is not updated.
Yes.
So make sure to get someone who is current, who has the current knowledge, and who could facilitate you the way you want them to be.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
One of the things I would like to add that psychotherapists are legally bound not to respond to your reviews. Okay? So they are helpless. They cannot defend themselves because of the confidentiality concerns. Okay?
Exactly.
So they cannot ask you to remove the review. Okay? So in this matter, they are helpless.
Okay. Okay, Vikas, let's talk about connecting with your therapist. What if there is a mismatch?
So that's a very important question. You have to come up with a solution within first 2-3 sessions. Okay? You have to realize whether you can get along with the therapist. You will naturally get the vibe. Is the environment comfortable? Are you satisfied with the service being provided? Is the therapist trained enough? Okay. So all these things, that's called mood temperature. I always suggest my clients to figure this thing out in the first few sessions. How do you relate with the therapist? Is he capable enough that you can trust him? Okay. Is he trained enough to provide you the level of service that you're looking for?
Exactly.
So just have that natural vibe and make sure that it is being done in 1 to 3 sessions. Do not waste your time and money for 6 months or a year. Okay?
Yeah, this is the best way.
Yeah, this decision has to be made pretty earlier in the sessions.
Okay, because one of my friend who is a psychotherapist, and she believes that everybody should be in this therapy. So, will you explain this? It should be or not?
Okay, that's a very misconception that only the mentally ill or the people with psychiatric illnesses should be consulting a psychotherapist.
Yes.
There are a lot many things that can be done positively. Psychotherapy is just like going to gym. You go to gym for your physical health. You seek a psychiatrist or therapist or clinical psychologist for your better mental health. That's called mental health care. Okay? So when you consult a therapist, he listens to your problem. There are a few people that just need to vent out. They just try to get somebody to talk to. So they could consult a therapist. And then there are so many problems like grief. If you lose someone, you could get into identity crises. If you're a parent and you lose a child, then who are you? If you lose your spouse, your friend, who will be filling that gap? You're not that person anymore. That's a very crucial time to get along. So in that situation, that painful, that's called mental pain, that scenario, you can consult a therapist who would hold your hand to get you out of that time, get you out of that moment quickly with the facilitation, obviously.
Okay, Vikas, getting older, a lot of stuff comes in our way. And we get to deal with that. These are psychological issues. And we should consult a psychotherapist to sort them out.
Obviously, continuing my last points, I'd add up that down the line, you could have so many problems that are troublesome to you. You could lose a job, you could lose a child, you could get divorced, you could move to someplace else, unfamiliar culture, so many things that would get along. So these are the very things that could bother you for quite some time. You could get distressed. So in those cases, do consult a therapist. He'd be someone who could listen to your problem and who could assist you, facilitate you, provide you with solutions. Psychotherapy is not lifelong. There are things that are being practiced. Say the solution-focused therapy. You get to your therapist. Tell him what the problem is. He'll work with you 1 session, 2 sessions, a month, 3 months maximum.
Okay.
And the solution and the problem is resolved, and you get with the solution.
Okay.
This happens. The misconception that it is a lifelong process, that is pretty weak. Okay? Psychotherapy does not work this way. It is a very spontaneous process. We teach people to get to that process, to get through that process, to make them able to get them to that point where they can recognize that, okay, I am capable. I can sort these things on my own.
Exactly. Okay, that's wonderful, Waqas Shabir, and now I get to know that you can talk about therapy all the day. So now, and you know, many of audiences may would like to have your contact number and want to contact you. So how they can contact you and how they can reach you?
You can connect with me on LinkedIn. That is linkedin.com/link/waqas1031. And if you want to work with me, you can write to me at waqas1031@icloud.com.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Waqas Shabir. It was really a productive section, and even I learned so much from you.
Thank you.
And I hope you people also have learned so much from this session, and we will inshallah conduct a new session with Waqas Shabir. And if you have any query about this related to this topic or related to any other topic, you can comment us, you can tell us, and you can email us on the given email address and given number. We can conduct a new session, and if needed, we can conduct a same topic.
We can continue with this
Yeah,
topic.
we can continue this topic. So till that, take care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.